Hi. Everything I'm about to say is true.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. As intelligent animals become smarter and come together, a deadly contagion begins to spread across the world from their home with a 90% fatality rate. This pushes the military to invade the animal's home and viral hotspot, hoping to stop the plague from spreading from these intelligent beasts. It sounds like the plot to Planet of the Apes, but it's a true story. They just got the wrong animal. In the late 80s, deep in the caves of Mount Elgon in East Africa, it wasn't apes who were beginning their own culture. It was elephants. Today, we're looking at the amazing intelligence of elephants, the virus in their home that threatens humanity, and what it might look like if elephants were the only intelligent animals left. We all know elephants are smart, but what if they became even more intelligent, specifically when humans are out of the picture? What cultures might arise, and what technologies would they invent?
Grab a couple snacks because this is going to be a long video about elephant facts, how they might replace us, what they would need to evolve if they were to become sapient, and what that would mean for the world.
Part 1. How would elephants replace us? This is the Marburg virus. It causes hemorrhaging, fever, diarrhea, loss of organ function, and death from dehydration. There's no vaccine for Marburg, and the CDC, WHO, and NIAID all call it an extremely dangerous threat to humanity, an untreatable disease. COVID-19 has a 1.4% mortality rate. Tuberculosis has 40%. Marburg is so deadly that during its worst outbreak, it killed 90% of infected. The most recent outbreak was last year. But what does this have to do with elephants? In the 80s, after multiple deaths, an expedition was staged by the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases in an attempt to find the source, which they believe to be hiding within the shadowed Khatum caves of Mount Elgon. These events have been highly dramatized in literature and sci-fi, but it still happened. In 2007, it was discovered that bats were the source of this zoonotic virus. People were getting sick by inhaling bat guano in the air of Khatum caves, becoming the host for a deadly pathogen once they left Mount Elgon. As the source of Marburg and Ebola, the two most deadly diseases on Earth, Khatum Cave is now known as the most deadly place on Earth. But to elephants, it's a valued place of sanctuary and ritual. Elephants have been migrating hundreds of miles to take their children and give birth within the seemingly sacred place of rejuvenation. Elephant mothers teach their calves in the dark how to mine the mountain of its life source, precious salt. Digging for the nutritious mineral with their tusks, they've marked the walls with scratches over generations, so much so that they've dug the tunnels deeper, expanding the cave network. And they've been performing this ritual for centuries. Here their social bonds are stronger, trusting each other in the dark, and the added minerals to their diet make these herds more likely to pass down healthier, stronger, and smarter descendants. To them, the cave is their future, but to us, it is our doom.
Elephants are conscious, emotional, intelligent beings with complex societies.
Elephants can remember every individual in their herd, even elephants they only met once by sight and smell. They can call to each other and eavesdrop on other herds with infrasound. Elephants have more neurons than humans, most of them dedicated to memory, social communication, and smell, able to tell the difference between two compounds by one molecule. They can understand basic arithmetic, tracking the amount of fruits in baskets after multiple changes, use tools, they engineer their ecosystems, they outwit researchers, have their own syntax and grammar, and use specific calls to each other like names. Elephants show their emotional depth and intelligence most when they have funerals for their dead. Elephants are perfect the way they are, and they don't have to become smarter. But what if they did become more intelligent? Marburg virus is deadly to humans, apes, monkeys, and pigs.
Remember that pig? It's important. We'll get back to it later.
The population of Africa is predicted to double by the year 2050. Given that outbreaks happen more often with climate change and population density, this might be the perfect year for the Marburg virus to spread around the world. This is a diagram of a prediction that two scientists laid out for what it would take for humans to go extinct. If there is a global pandemic of an aggressive version of the Marburg virus, this extinction event might happen even faster. But not as fast as elephants are going extinct.
Elephants can't live long enough to become sapient if they go extinct, which scientists say might happen in the year 2100. So how might they survive? It's without us.
It's not uncommon for animals to come back from the brink of extinction. If we consider how quickly other large mammals have come back from the brink of extinction, we might apply this and predict how elephants can bounce back too. Because of poaching, elephant herds have lost their elder matriarchs who knew where water holes are during droughts. For male herds that are victims of poaching, juveniles can be more aggressive. Another side effect of poaching is that elephant orphans have become shorter every generation. Combine this with the fact that because of climate change, generations of mammals have to become shorter and smaller to conserve nutrients, which is happening right now to frogs, deer, and cattle. Although unrelated to the Lilliput effect, where after mass extinctions, animals just get smaller, we might find that in order to survive, elephants might become dwarfs. A new species of dwarf elephants might be the only ones to survive climate change. After the Marburg pandemic wreaks havoc on the world, humans, apes, and pigs might be wiped out. This open niche left by pigs might be filled by these dwarf elephants. It's not uncommon in extinctions for pig-like animals to survive the best. Adopting a similar lifestyle might also enhance their intelligence. According to some studies, elephant brains have gotten larger in the past every time there's a dramatic shift in climate. And just like elephants, pigs are incredibly social, have a high capacity for memory, they use tools in the wild. Researchers have found that pigs can learn how to play video games, and they are incredibly invasive and resistant to human populations fighting them off. During a future catastrophic Marburg outbreak, elephants might have enough respite from poachers to bounce back from extinction. But could elephants shrink fast enough before their rate of population declines? Because of climate change, elephants without proper upbringing are shrinking by 13 to 14 centimeters every generation. Compare this to the dwarfing of other animals in the past as well as animals in the present, we might have a good idea of when elephants reach the same size as the adaptive pigs they're trying to fill the niche of. Climate change has also pushed elephants to have shorter terms of pregnancy. In the future, this may line up with the fertility rate of African bush pigs. Even if we round up and compare it to the speed of dwarfing and insular dwarfism within 1,000 to 1,500 years from now, we may find a new adaptive pygmy elephant inhabiting areas with dense vegetation and proximity to water sources such as rivers and swamps. These smarter and more hardy dwarf elephants of the bush could have the dual abilities of elephants today mixed with the adaptable intelligence of pigs. Smaller elephants with larger brains has happened before in the past. P. falconeri is a small mammoth that adapted to small island living off the coast of Italy. Most recent studies shows that their brain size to body ratio is comparable to dolphins.
I just think that's crazy. I don't think that they were sapient and have their own societies on an island in Italy. We need more fossils to figure that out. I just think it's a cool fact.
They may change foraging pattern based on dangers. They could use other animal burrows, use complex puzzle solving skills from digging and burrowing for food, with long-term memory and comprehending symbolic language. They may survive drastic climate change in refugiums called sky islands, similar to bush pigs, which have been found at 4,000 meters on Mount Kilimanjaro. Dwarfed elephants and mammoths in the past have also lived on mountains and become more agile with more flexible joints, allowing them to easily scale steep cliffs. At one point, sea otters and Eurasian beavers, both tool-using mammals, were at the brink of extinction, and then their populations bounced back. Industrious dwarf bush elephants might have similar results. One of the final steps in the simulation of humanity's extinction is a series of long volcanic eruptions. Most volcanic region in Africa is the Great Rift Valley. This beautiful and violent ecosystem is actively ripping Africa apart. As the region becomes more volcanic and treacherous, only the dwarf elephants may survive its rage. The volcanic region will become more violent over the course of millions of years. 5 to 6 million years from now, it may die down and become a beautiful vast chasm and set the scene for future elephants' new kingdom. Thanks to their ability to pass down generational knowledge and their long-term memory, they may continue to visit Mount Elgon. Here at the heart of the insular refugium for dwarf elephants is the beginning of their Stone Age. Volcanic soil often acts as great fertilizer for farming and agriculture. An advanced knowledge of water from their industriousness in creating ravines and watering holes may push them to create cisterns and protect water sources in their new arid region, similar to human carved-out cave settlements, where water is key to survival. But just like humans, their Stone Age won't be the end of their evolution. Part 2. How might elephants evolve further? An intelligent species is not the end goal of evolution. Evolution doesn't have an end goal. Animals simply adapt certain features to their environment. One of elephants' most unique features is their communication through infrasound. They hear these inaudible sounds through fat pads on their feet using bone conduction. They literally feel each other's voices. They even hear natural sources of infrasound, like thunderstorms, helping them predict rainfall after long droughts. Many animals today that use unique communication can sense their environment, hunt food, and think together through a shared synchronized sensorium, whether using echolocation or electricity. Elephants today can eavesdrop on other herds miles away, and when researchers artificially created warning calls, collectively responded together. Could this unique trait specialize in elephants in the future, creating a shared experience of their environment or even their thoughts? In humans, sensing sound through touch is a form of synesthesia, and maybe the closest we get to how they understand their environment. What if we took all the unique traits of elephants and took them to the furthest extent? Instead of evolving sapients, they may just adapt their most unique traits and specialties to better suit their environment. One problem I have with imagining future sapient elephants is most artists and authors speculate they would evolve hands on their trunks. This is based on the fact that African elephants have 2 fingertips at the end of their nose.
Proboscideans have had the same trunk for millions of years, basically the same layout. I don't think that they'll evolve hands on their nose.
In nature today, animals with prehensile tails and proboscis have relatively bland tips. Why would they evolve fingers? One reason might be using dexterous nodules at the end of their nose to find tubers and roots. A likely adaptation, because elephants are excellent swimmers, is specialized hairs adapted into sensitive organs. In aquatic animals, elephant trunks are like Swiss Army knives. They can pick up heavy objects but also be delicate. If they became more specialized for delicate manipulation, we might find that elephants protect these sensitive organs as they adapt to colder climates. The only reason animals have adapted proboscis on their face to have fingers is for carnivory and hunting. Maybe in a frozen future, a worm-like tentacle with fingers, sensitive hairs, and teeth rummage through undergrowth, scavenging for anything it can get its hands on. But if we want to predict realistic adaptations for a sapient species, what tools do elephants have today that they can specialize for a diet found in animals with curiosity and sociality? One of the coolest things about elephants that not a lot of people know is that they have a secret 6th toe adapted to supporting their body weight. Extra digits found in other animals are often adapted to helping them get food. Elephants have been known to eat nutritious metals and vitamins found in termite mounds. An accidental adaptation to insectivory might help elephants fill the niche left by gorillas, now extinct from the Marburg virus. The 6th toe in elephants today supports their massive body weight, but our smaller dwarf elephants might adapt it for digging and collecting plants. But would this mess up their ability to hear each other? It might actually be the opposite, since other animals that use bone conduction flatten themselves against the ground in order to better hear. Other animals that dig and strip leaves for food protect their claws and hands by evolving the unique feature of knuckle walking. Elephant locomotion today has all the right puzzle pieces to adapt something similar, especially if they want to protect their new thumbs, bone conducting feet, and the only sweat glands on their body. This has happened to other ungulates. At the risk of sounding anthropocentric, elephants are far more likely to evolve specialized hands instead of fingers on their nose. For now, let's nickname these hypothetical elephants with 6 toes Sita, from the Swahili word for 6. Their adaptive diets allows them to forage through multiple environments like dry forests, savanna woodlands, and jungles. The most successful wild pigs of Africa were the omnivorous warthogs, warthogs, who have similar lifestyles to elephants today, with males and females creating their own herds. It would also lend credence to the knuckle walking hypothesis, as warthogs kneel down to graze and dig for bulbs with their tusks. With arms taking on the roles of heavy lifting, their trunks may adapt for more articulate manipulation of objects and tools. The sixth thumb could be used in defense and as a sexual display. This would bring about a philosophy of balance in future Sida society. But just like humans had Homo erectus, a following species more specific to intelligence and sociality would evolve just like Homo sapiens. With smaller muscles but bigger brains, they would have to rely on each other, their society, and invention to survive in the new kingdom of sapient elephants. Based on what we know about elephants and wild pigs, how would they manipulate their environment to their needs? And how would that influence their civilization? Part 3. What would elephant society look like? If you've made it this far through the video, you probably skipped or you've just gone over a billion science facts about elephants. So taking what we know, what can we hypothesize elephants will create in the future based on what they create today?
There's already an invisible world only seen by elephants that we can't even perceive.
When elephants from different herds meet up, they can tell a lot about each other from their appearance and their smells. Elephants are the #1 animal with the most neurons dedicated to smell. It's the main way they perceive the world. The Sida might take this to a new level, seeing pillars of light and color through synesthesia, pointing the way to watering holes, trails left by other herds, and vast pastures to graze on. Even more impressive is the invisible landscape of fear, where animals change their behavior based on risk of predation, creating a psychological map of their geographic surroundings. We may see a large open pasture, but to wiser elephants, they may see blaring mental roadmaps and warning signs. Their shared field of sensitivity and infrasound, mixed with their brains dedicated to long-term memory, means that the Sida might have a shared experience of an invisible mental map. Elephants are also ecosystem engineers and adapt their environments to their needs, digging watering holes, creating huge trenches, and clearing vast pastures of woods. If we apply this behavior to our mountainous dwarf elephants, they could accidentally create ditch gardens that collect condensation and seeds from their dung to create vast crops. Within the caves of Mount Elgon, elephants scratching at walls actually creates new pillars of stalactites, which bats use as roosts. With the capacity for abstract concepts like art, elephants might find beauty in creating these pillars within their ever-growing and deepening cave systems, creating an alien architecture of scratches and stalagmites. Since the Sida have adapted more to a wild pig lifestyle, it's interesting to know that wild pigs in the winter create igloos out of their burrows and dens. If the Sida mostly live in African caves, we can imagine tropical jungle igloos of stone. Staircase structures would protect them from flash floods, and pillars of salt from Mount Elgon might be considered sacred. Another application of their wild pig igloos could be natural rain catchers as well as natural air conditioning. Now that they won't have to stick to caves anymore, fruit-eating bats might follow them if they become dependent on the Sida for roosting and eating leftovers, finding homes in abandoned Sida towers much like pigeon towers. Their propensity to mine and dig might lead to a jumpstart in forging technologies, leading to a Bronze Age, since their brick igloos seem similar to the Vietnamese brick kilns. It's possible that future Sida might use their stone igloos as forges to create new and inventive technology for agriculture and architecture. One interesting application of domed architecture is the acoustic effects of whispering galleries. If the Sida share a mindscape and mental map of memory between each other with infrasound, they could apply this to their cave systems to gossip about other herds. As tunnels become deeper through mining, injuries are more likely to happen. But these intensely communal and empathetic elephants may try and help in any way they can, creating prosthetics. The females raise young and pass down memories, while males create fraternities that scientists say are very similar to mafias in that they have rituals and rules. Elephants cover themselves in mud as sunscreen and may use intense colors as a form of fashion. Speaking of clothes, what would their armor look like? With similar adaptations as wild boars, They may try to protect the vital areas that are their weak points, although they won't wear anything heavy on their backs due to how their spine is located. While their cultures become more complicated, males' sense of competition may still linger. Fighters may use similar instruments as rapiers and bucklers while covering their tusks and thumb daggers to not fatally wound their opponents. But beyond small communities and cultural trends, what would their influence on the world be like? Part 4. Elephants are not solitary creatures, so while elephants might become expert craftsmen, their entire economy may be based on nomadism. Nomadic cultures have created stone architecture before. The Nabateans created Petra, the Mongols created Karakoram, and the Sita may have a procession or parade of merchants and ironsmiths traveling along a single road through coastal villages because of their ability to plan ahead and long-term memory. The Sita may have the patience to create ecological engineering projects, one example being the flooding of the Congo, proposed by the architect Hermann Sorgel. But their greatest achievement may be finding a ruin of humans' past. Shielded from the elements by the Saharan sand dunes, the pyramids of Giza are predicted to survive millennia. Architects recently proposed that we add to the Egyptian pyramids a water generator. Again, this appreciation for long-term planning and architecture may push the Sita to build a water generator within the desert, expanding upon it and creating a greenhouse. Attracted to the pyramid because of its size and its astronomical alignment, their most enlightened scientists may also find that the Great Pyramids, under the right resonance frequencies, can concentrate electromagnetic energy. The electrical response of the pyramids also could be applied to develop sensors and highly efficient solar cells, according to the Journal of Applied Physics. If the Sita realize these same capabilities, they might flock to these newfound ruins, creating huge sand batteries to store the electrical power as heat for the burgeoning technocracy growing around it. Perhaps an advanced community of elephants would use electrical circuitry for memory storage, containing every memory of every elephant that comes upon that pyramid as simple ones and zeros. It's this technology that plants the seed of conflict in Sita society. Elephants are one of the only animals that can suffer from PTSD. Considering that memories can be passed down through phobias and generational trauma, the advanced and seemingly utopian electrical pyramids could become a new source of danger within the landscape of fear. Sita will disagree on whether to destroy the data because of the dangers of reliving bad memories, while others will continue to preserve it. Knights and gladiators of pig-headed male may become the first soldiers in the electrical war of future Sita. With their cultures being built on ironsmiths and preparing for injuries with prosthetics, we might find these electrical soldiers trying to out-compete each other through cybernetic augmentation. Elephants are, above all else, empathetic to each other. If peace is found and a truce is made, the pyramids may simply be abandoned, burying the ghosts of their past. In the late 19th century, scientists tried to imagine how to warn people 10,000 years in the future about radioactive material. They theorized that architecture might dismay future humans from getting too close. Once again, the Sita's dedication to long-term engineering projects may lead to the same conclusion. But it's not only the electrically stored memories of the past that is buried within those spiky fields. Female emissaries of the matriarchies will need to be guarded by brave males from the fraternity, as the electromagnetic field that is constantly generated by the pyramid beneath the sands may continue to charge the exoskeletons and cybernetics of fallen soldiers from the war. And that is my prediction for a civilization of intelligent elephants. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I know it was long and there was so much science we had to go over. Thank you so much to my 35 patrons, especially Alex, the One True Cock, and Justin Larson.
It's really helpful making these videos. Let me know what you guys thought about my video and if you agree or disagree with how you would see a future of elephant evolution. Specifically the trunks for hands thing. I want everyone's opinion on that because I don't think it would happen. It doesn't happen in nature.